Could the DCU's kickoff movie be blocked in multiple countries? Well, a new lawsuit has been filed, and it does appear the families of creator Joe Shuster are looking to restrict the right in certain key territories. So what's this all mean legally? Why is this happening? And could it impact the Superman release? Let's take a couple minutes to break it all down. Well, this sort of stuff happens almost like clockwork. So before we dive into this story, I want everybody to be aware, not something to be too alarmed about yet. Now, earlier today, we got a report from Deadline that the estate of Superman creator Joe Shuster is suing Warner Bros. Discovery and DC Comics, claiming it lacks the rights to release the upcoming movie in several key territories. Now, according to the plaintiff, Mark Warren Perry, who is the executor of the estate, filed this suit today in federal court in New York City, and he is seeking, quote, damages and an injunction relief for defendants' ongoing infringement in Canada, the UK, Ireland, and Australia, as well as declaratory relief establishing the Shuster estate ownership rights across relevant jurisdictions. Now, Deadline went on to say that it is ripe for adjudication, saying, quote, as defendants are actively planning a new Superman motion picture and other derivative works for imminent worldwide release. Now, as many of you know, the new upcoming Superman movie is set to drop on July the 11th, and it has been a good bit of time since Superman was up on the big screen. Now, Warner and Perry and his longtime legal team have been in court quite often about this particular issue, most recently regarding termination rights under U.S. copyright. But the automatic foreign copyright revision issue is a case that did not occur until years later. Then the attorney for the estate, Mark Toberoff, was never actually litigated, and apparently now it will be. Now, Warner Bros. Discovery responded by saying that they, quote, fundamentally disagree with the merits of the lawsuit and will vigorously defend our rights. So this one is obviously going to court. Now, at what's issue here are the foreign copyrights to the original character and the story as co-authored by Siegel and Shuster. Now, to be fair, Siegel and Shuster assigned the worldwide rights to DC way back in 1938. But in the lawsuit, the litigation team says, and I quote, the copyright laws of countries within the British legal tradition, including Canada, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia, contain provisions automatically terminating such assignments 25 years after an author's death, vesting in the Shuster estate the co-author's undivided copyright interest in such countries. Shuster died in 1992 and Siegel in 1996. By operation of the law, Shuster's foreign copyright automatically reverted to his estate in 2017 in most of these territories. So it actually does sound like they do have a case. Now, do I think they will ultimately block Superman from being released in those countries? No. But this is another opportunity for the Shuster and Siegel families really to kind of get their piece of the pie. I want to be clear here. I hate lawsuits coming up at very convenient times that kind of stymie productions, but you cannot make a case that Shuster and Siegel did not get screwed over way back in the day over the Superman character. These lawsuits have been going on for decades, going back and forth between the families and fighting over the rights to some of their creations. Now, what do I think will happen? Well, it's pretty obvious to me. Before the smoke clears on all of this, I am near absolutely certain that Warner Bros. Discovery and DC will come to some kind of settlement for this lawsuit. Now, it'll remain undisclosed and we'll have no idea what this actually looks like. But given the positive response to the trailer, it's definitely within their interest, especially in these high-value markets, to make sure the film gets released. This movie is probably set to make about $1 billion, so I would not be surprised if both families end up with a really nice payday, but ultimately it will remain undisclosed to us fans because these things are often covered up in litigation and NDAs. I always like to see the artists finally get their just desserts, and it's always been really clear early in the comic industry, well, it wasn't very friendly to creators. I understand why people did it then, and obviously, if Siegel and Shuster knew where this character was going in the future, they probably wouldn't have sold him off for such a small amount. But hindsight is always 20/20. And with this Superman movie looking like it's going to make a mountain of cash and kick off a new DC universe, they really cannot afford to not be able to show this particular character in those other key territories. Now, this doesn't affect any of the other release territories, including many European countries, South America, and Asia, but North American box office totals are often calculated with Canadian theaters, so Warner Brothers definitely wants this to get settled and make sure they know exactly what's going to shake out of this film. Obviously, we'll follow the story pretty closely. I expect a follow-up basically just to be it was settled and we don't know. So we're going to keep a close eye. This will probably come down in the next couple of weeks, and we'll bring it to you once we have more news. What do you guys think? How do you feel about the Schuster and Siegel family lining up to try to get another payday from DC Comics and Warner Brothers Discovery? And do you think the early creators really did get screwed over by the comic companies, or were they work for hire and knew what they were getting into from the beginning? I'm really curious on your opinion. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification because we do daily Marvel and DC content and we don't want you to miss any news.